Hi there, I'm Alan Miller, and Abby Bowker and I worked with the STEAM team, great group of students here at Williston Central School, and we want to tell you about our project. So here's some feedback.
Hi, my name is Lynn Kamara, and I'm the SAP counselor at Williston Central School, and I love my sign. When Alex Carr, the student, dropped it off for me, I was ecstatic. I thought the team did an amazing job, and it just made me feel really, really special. And what's been really fun is to see the signs popping up more and more around the school and seeing how people are identifying themselves, the quotes that they're using, and just feeling like this sort of sense of excitement and curiosity about how other people are identifying. So really, thank you. It was an amazing project.
So one of the things that we did was we laser cutted signs for adults around the building, and we have their name, their role, and some of them chose a quote and a logo that represents their role in the building.
These 4 signs are for school custodians who we didn't even really know the name of when we started, and these signs will help change that to get to know our custodians.
The history of typography. This was one place that we started with some of the art of the STEAM team, and we talked about the importance of typography as being a visual communicator, because you can think about what a word says letter by letter, but visually it also communicates a lot about the subject or about the style or about the person if they've got a particular font selected. We looked at the psychology of font choices and learned a lot about the different types of fonts, including serif, sans serif, script, modern, and display fonts. Of course, this is highly subjective in many ways. Some of the other things, the specifics around the types of fonts and their readability was not. So we definitely talked about how font communicates visually in both the very real way of seeing and the way that we interpret font from our basic training throughout our lives of seeing different fonts. One of the things that we had a lot of fun with was doing a Jamboard where students selected different signs that they liked best, or thought about the artwork that they thought best expresses the word that it spells. So they had to consider how the font was working with the communication. We also did the other way around, and you ended up seeing what they thought least expressed the word that it spells. This opened up a wonderful discussion around typography that felt really real and applicable to our students. Additionally, we looked at some other sticky notes that thought that it really looked at what signs felt most appropriate for the different business, whether it was a children's museum or a doctor's office. Students were able to really think about how did font play a role in their consideration. We also had time when students were applying font for their own names. This is an example from Whitney's that really shows her name if she were a different career. So whether she was a novelist or a marine biologist or a chef or a computer programmer. And the reason we did this, although we did call it stereotypes, because of course we're stereotyping a particular profession in this, which is dangerous to do, but we also wanted to think about the typography that fit those different professions. That helped us to narrow down a set of fonts that we would prepare in advance for our staff members to choose from for their signs. And so this is a sign-up packet. Initially, we had wanted to put this into an effect where students would be going to each staff member and sitting down with them and going through the different aspects of things but we did run out of time. Students had a very difficult time to being an after-school club, connect with teachers that had already left the building during our club time, and trying to fit it into the school day wasn't feasible in our shortened time frame this year. But we were able to distribute the packets well, and teachers and staff members were able to choose their font, among other things, and their icon. The icons was another area that I'll go into shortly regarding how we personalized and also created visual for people to be able to see the work of our staff members without even being able to read their title. This is an example of the different fonts that were selected, and we talked a lot about font pairing because sometimes it's good to have the same thing and sometimes it's nice to have a mixture. And so we had all of these different options available, as well as different formats available with icon sizes and name length options. So this was the sales packet that students worked through. This is the icon library that students created. We did this collaboratively. We also considered putting in icons that would work well with the technology that we were using to burn this into the signs. We also talked about free use policies and making sure that we were using only images that were part of the common. And we really worked with them around what would look good once it was burned, what wouldn't look good. So when you see these, you're going to notice that all of these are in black and white. All of these have simple shapes or clean lines to them. They're all types of files that can be resized and not lose their crispness. So we talked about all of that as they were selecting things. And the first one is our school logo. A lot of our staff members selected the school logo. And we thought that that was really important to have as an option because it shows a lot of school pride. Additionally, one of our students created a border that included the school logo that helped unify the signs across the building. So whether or not people were choosing different font sets or different icons, they all were held together by the same border, and they all said Williston Central School because they all had this particular logo. Many people chose to have what we like to friendly call double kitty, right? So they had the border and they had this. Each student created a slide for different parts of our building, different roles of people in our building. So there are slides here for our design tech program, for math, for maintenance, for the cafeteria, for admin, all sorts of different things. And these icons were used not only to sort of spice up the signs and get people thinking visually, but also because we have a large population of English language learners, and as they negotiate their way around the building, having some iconography that they can read visually will help them transition through the building and know where to go and who to seek out for help.
Okay. So we have created a sign layout in the slide deck over here so that we know what to print. And then you are going to download it so that we can put it in Glowforge. So now we go to Glowforge and upload the image that we just downloaded into Glowforge so that now it will be on the sign. So this is how we're laying out the signs so that the laser cutter knows what to do. And we can resize it and move it around until we're happy with it. So after that, we have to set our engrave settings. so that it knows what to do. And those are 787. So now we just click out of that and our sign is all set. So now we push the print button and it will tell us the time on here eventually once it loads. And then we'll go over to that laser cutter after.
Okay. So did you want to show this one that just got done?
So this is a sign that we just finished. It's for Trek, which is a place in our school. And as you can see, it's quite burnt as it's coming out. But then we use sanders and it gets all nice and smooth like the ones that you saw in the hallway. So over here, our sign is inside and we just have to push this button and the laser will start cutting.
And how long does it typically take?
Typically takes about 30-ish minutes, give or take a few. And this is the sign that was just cut, and we're going to show you how we sand it using our sanders. So kick it on. Even with just a little sanding, you can see the difference from this to that.
Let's see. Yep, Raj, what's going on here?
So this is some spray painting we have to do after we're done doing the laser cutting and everything else on the sign and sanding it all. We have to stick it onto a piece of cardboard and use some polyacrylic and just spray it down. And we have to also think about spray paint, check where the wind's going. It's going this way, so I'm gonna lay it down here. We just get a ton of spray paint on this. We have to do 2 coats. We do it first like this, then we wait for some like 15 minutes, and then do another one before we get it all done and ready.
All right. Awesome.
Once
Thanks.
we're done with the sanding process, then we need to put some Velcro on it in order to make it stick to the wall. So in order to do that, I will need scissors.
We got lots of other stuff happening in here today. Some STEAM team t-shirts being made, finalizing some designs over there on the Cricut. All right. We'll come back and see what Alex is up to.
Now with this vital ingredient, I can start cutting the Velcro. Once this one's about as long as we need it to stick on, we'll peel the backing off to reveal the sticky side of it. After we're done with that, we'll take some of the softer Velcro and just stick that right onto that.
All right. And that's how it's going to stick to the wall, right? Okay.
Central School. This is one of the things that we've done. It is welcome in all the different languages of our school.
Our welcome area coming into the school was a really fun project to work on. The kids really engaged with it. We've had a number of comments from people in the community and throughout our school saying how great this ended up looking. Here is an in-progress picture, but it's nice because you're able to see both panels at once, both on the left and the right-hand side of our entryway. And you can also see kind of the clunkiness of how the process worked out and trying to lay things out. But what I loved most about this was the sentiment of things. As students looked for problems in our school, they recognized that we have a lot of people that speak different home languages that are not represented at all anywhere in our building. And they really wanted every student to feel welcomed into our community. So putting this together was something that was really close and near to dear of many of their hearts. And as we look at this project, we can see a lot of technical finesse working with vinyl cutting. We can also look and see how carefully they chose the lettering, the fonts. But what you wouldn't know just by looking at this was the work that they did with our English language learner teacher. As she came and worked with this group and talked to them about how different cultures have different associations with colors, and each student researched different language and culture to find out what would be an appropriate and welcoming color for that representation. So when you look at these, you know so much went into each one of these words, from the physical design and technological aspects of the making, all the way through the thoughtfulness of the creators in making sure that this really did mean welcome to Williston Central School.
Well, we really hope you enjoyed learning about our project. It was a great way to wrap up our year, and I think overall we call it a great success. We started out to try to improve morale and school climate, and I think we addressed it with some teachers, we addressed it with our community, and especially addressed it with this fine group of young people. So just want to say thank you to the Vermont Agency of Education for the grant and for the opportunity. And thanks for the entire project.